in the year 2000, when the internet bubble burst, Amazon's stock, in a very short period of time, went from $113 a share to $6 a share. And by the way, it's split many times since then. I don't know, 20 for one, or maybe even more. I don't have the number. But so these prices have nothing to do with today's stock prices. But to go from 113 to 6 in a short period of time was very concerning. And shareholders were upset, employees were nervous. We had all of our employee base, their parents were all calling our employees and saying, "Are you okay?" You know, this was the environment of great nervousness. But I looked at the numbers in the business, and every month, as the stock price went from 113 to 6, a number of customers went up every month. Our gross profits went up every month. Our operating expense, we were still in a loss position, but our losses as a percentage of sales went down every month. Every single business metric, new customers, customer repeat purchases, everything that we were monitoring through that entire period kept getting better. And so that's one observation about bubbles in general. The fundamentals can be disconnected, the fundamentals of the business. And of course, as entrepreneurs, you're focused on the fundamentals of the business. The stock price is an output, an ultimate output that you actually have very little control over. Benjamin Graham, the great investor, is famous for saying, in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. And so as founders and entrepreneurs and business people, our job is to build a heavy company. We want to build a company that when it is weighed, it is a very heavy company. We do not want to focus on the stock price. And so that is, that will be misleading because it can be disconnected from the fundamentals. And when bubbles happen, so that's one thing that happens. The second thing that happens when people get very excited, as they are today about artificial intelligence, for example, is every experiment gets funded. Every company gets funded. The good ideas and the bad ideas. And investors have a hard time in the middle of this excitement distinguishing between the good ideas and the bad ideas. And so that's also probably happening today. But it doesn't mean that anything that's happening isn't real. Like, AI is real, and it is going to change every industry. In fact, it's a very unusual technology in that regard, in that it's a horizontal enabling layer. Today we talk about AI-first companies like OpenAI and Anthropic and Mistral and so on and so on and so on. There are so many startup companies that are kind of AI companies of various kinds. And that's normal for this phase. But that is not the biggest impact that AI is going to have. The biggest impact that AI is going to have is it is going to affect every company in the world. It is going to make their quality go up and their productivity go up. By every company, I literally mean every company, every manufacturing company, every hotel, every consumer products company, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so that is hard to fathom, but it's real. There is no doubt. We don't know how long it will take exactly. We don't know how quickly that transition will occur. It'll probably occur at different rates in different industries. But that is very real. Now, what the stock market does, which is when we think of bubbles, we think of valuations and market caps and things like this, and how many billions of dollars are being invested in these 6 people at a $20 billion valuation, even though they just started yesterday, right? That's very unusual behavior. Investors don't usually give a team of 6 people a couple of $1 billion with no product. It's rare, and that's happening today. But the great thing about industrial bubbles, this is a kind of industrial bubble, as opposed to financial bubbles, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. If you go back, like the 90s had a biotech bubble. And there were a bunch of pharma startup companies that were designing drugs and using new techniques, and the world got very excited. The investment world got very excited. As a group, they all lost money. But we did get a couple of life-saving drugs. A bubble like a banking bubble, the crisis in the banking system, that's just bad. That's like 2008. And so those bubbles society wants to avoid. The ones that are industrial are not nearly as bad. They could even be good, because when the dust settles and you see who are the winners, society benefits from those inventions. They still get those life-saving drugs. And that's what's going to happen here too. This is real. The benefits to society from AI are going to be gigantic.
And if we go back 25 years ago, when the internet was in that bubblish moment, no one would have predicted a lot of the industrial benefits of that industrial bubble. And the fiber, huge investments that were put in infrastructure.
It's a perfect example. That all of that fiber optic cable that got laid, and by the way, the companies who laid all that cable went out of business. They literally went bankrupt. But the fiber optic cable was still there, and we got to use it.
And the telco companies who owned the customers and who had a very strong moat ended up not being the companies that emerged.
That's right.
And a lot of the infrastructure that was laid for e-commerce ended up actually working.
Yes.
And in some ways, what is really important in the moment we're living now is, on one side, to be extremely optimistic that the societal and beneficial consequences of AI, like we had with internet 25 years ago, are real and there to stay.
100%. And by the way, it's not even just AI. We are all gifted, everybody in this room, we're gifted to live in a moment of time when there are multiple golden ages going on. So space travel is in the middle of a golden age. AI is several different things, by the way, middle of a golden age. Robotics, middle of a golden age. It's extraordinary. There's never been a better time to be excited about the future. And as I said earlier, thank you. This rapid rate of change is fantastic for entrepreneurs.